Wanshu is supposedly a Chinese gentleman's name. Okay, so the kata is named after his method. Typically the way it worked was it wasn't the master that made the kata, it was his students who made the kata. But, you know, we don't know about the history to know if this was the case, but I would suggest that it probably was. In Shotokan, of course, it's renamed Enpi. So when karate went to Japan, Funakoshi wants to make it saleable to the Japanese. So a big part of that is, okay, let's get rid of the Chinese opting out of the names and give them Japanese names. You know, sell it as a Japanese martial art. That makes it easy to pronounce and everything else, right? So Enpi means it's a swallow's flight. Funakoshi's a poet, so he's pretty good at coming up with names, actually. So, you know, you see like the kind of drop notions that you have in the form, again, it represents the way a swallow flies. Okay? So it's not Enpi as in elbow, it's a different character, you know, so it means like a swallow, like a swallow, right? So anyway, I'll have a look at the start of it. Little variations on it as well, so I'll show you how I do it and then we can work it from there. The first part of it is kind of this or this, it tends to vary a little bit, but you've got the kind of opening hand punch stacked on the side. Often these are given symbolic meanings, but the bottom line is we don't know what they are. Right? One of Funakoshi's students, Iain, in his book, The Heart of Karate Do, he shows all the various hand positions at the start. He says, no idea what these mean. You know, I love the honesty of that, you know, no idea. So when people go, oh, it represents this or it represents that, what they're really doing is giving you their pet theory. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I'm going to do now. Right? So there's all kinds of things, like it's, it was, you know, used as a formal greeting, so maybe it was that, you know, that was one thing. The other one was, it's martial arts, represented by a fist, and the hand covering it represents that martial arts are your secret. Well, it's not a very good secret, is it? You know what I mean? I just have decided to, you know, walk into a room full of other people. You know, I mean, it's not the most secret of secret gestures, is it? So there's all kinds of different, you know, ones that, you know, that's representing kind of the fist and like anger and violence, and the hand represents restraint. And just the thing, the way I tend to do it is I always go, every movement in every kata has a combative function. Right? Because otherwise it just opens the door to nonsense, because you go, oh, this doesn't really have a combative function, it's just about balance. You know, for example, or this, you know, doesn't really have a combative function, it's just about strengthening your legs. Well, I always say this, where are the press-ups and kata, where are the squat thrusts? They're not there. So I'm of the view that every single part of it, including the salutations, must have a combative unit. And it seems to fit with this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to work it off a grip from here. Obviously you don't want to get grabbed. Right? You know, if that hand was to kind of come up, it would be parried, there would be impact, that would flick. But if it does manage to get a grip on it, it needs to be dealt with pretty savagely. So one of the things we can do from close up here is to grab his back of his hair. If it was long enough, it's not quite. Put my hand on his chin and grab his neck to here. Okay, just to kind of open him up and get him sorted. And that would be mid-fight. Paul would be swinging short side, we'd come back in, I'd be doing my own thing. At some point, I'd grab the back of his head and I'd crank him to there, which isn't too far away from me. Is everyone alright with that for starters? So grabbing the back of the hair, pulling on the chin, pulling him towards you. Because what that'll do is it'll bring this arm close to me. Because I want this arm. Is everyone okay to give that a shot? I'll probably do it a little bit slower than I just demonstrated it. Is everyone okay to have a go with it? Lovely. But the way we want to crank him is this way. Because that does one. So you think the arm that I don't know where it is that one. Right? So by cranking it this way, it actually takes that shoulder back, so it's unlikely to want to hit me with that now. It also brings this arm towards me, which I want. If I crank it that way, you know what I mean, that arm straightens, which is not what I want, and this free arm comes closer towards me. Does that make sense? So, and again, typically when you look at open hands the chin, closed hands the hair on the back of the head. So again, and the fact of being at this hip would suggest all of that, I think. Okay? So whether you accept that as being the salutation, that doesn't really matter, because the next bit we want is this. So I'll let go of Paul a little bit so I can extend the distance so you can see. And the next thing I want to do is catch this. Right, so now I'm going close to me, I'm going to keep him close to me. Right, I'm going to pull that across and I'll drop into my stance from there, and I'm going to either strike downwards, I'm going to hammer fist or punch into his groin, depending on how much he's turned. So if you think of this. Is that the right idea? Because I've got to be careful with this, because Paul wants me to be. Naturally, as you turn there, it brings the groin towards me. So it's almost like, here's my genitals, please hit them. You know what I mean? It just kind of turns it around. So stick my body from that bit there and just come back through and hit from here. Is everyone alright with that idea? If you do a version where it punches, you imagine he hasn't turned quite so much. You're striking down in this direction. Is everyone okay with that? Touch either one that's appropriate. And again, that matches the start of the form as various people see. Here. Here. Right. See how his head's turned that way as well. Right, so the next one, if you think of the form, depending on the version that you do, right? The next something like this. Right, so when you've got this arm here coming back to club them again, the cat uses this striking surface quite a bit. So again, same idea, start with 1, 2. From there, see where this is? Bang. Okay, back to this position here. Then we may as well do the next one as well. So we're having hit there, and then grab the chin, and then pull round for the Gidam roll. Right? So he either falls or he doesn't. If he doesn't fall, that's okay, because we'll do the next bit in a second. Is everyone right with that idea? So the cat is just starting off by saying, okay, here's options. Let's put them together, but here's options you can do from close range. You know, you do whatever you do. I can crank it, I can pull through, I can strike the groin, I can hit to the back of his head, I can crank his neck. Okay? All of which kind of fits with what the form is. Is everyone okay to get that one?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll finish, we'll go behind one day. So, again, this is sometimes given symbolic meaning. I always try and give every part of every kata a combative function. And I think this is a crank fits very well with the start. So we've got a hand that's been grabbed, fighting away, we'll take the head and crank it in. One hand closed, one hand open. Remember, we want to turn this way so the arm that's free is turned away from us. And the arm we can play with is brought towards us. The kata then gives us some options on what we can do. So we'll take the arm and grab it here. The nearest you can get the elbow, the better, because then as you move to the side, it turns. So exposes the groin, so we're going to strike it this way or punch down, whichever way we have to do it. Pivot the body back, because we come into here. Then we're grabbing the chin and pulling round for the next motion. Right? So again, that will be from there to here. And the same style I do, it remains still. If you turn right round from there, well, all I'm saying is hit here and then round there to there. And then you're just whipping him right round. If he doesn't drop, right? I mean, it's great if he does. If he drops, you kick him and run away, right? If he doesn't drop, then the cat follows it with a punch. Right? So you've got the version I do, a short little hook punch or some a bit longer. Yeah? But it's just going back to karate plan A, right? So if it's not working, whack him. Right? So we start off from there, here, cranking, moving through, hitting here, pull, it's not quite working. Back. Okay, you know what I mean? So if you're pulling this resistance, boom, I'm just hitting from here again. And again, using the hikatei to keep control of the arm itself. Is everyone alright with that? So I'll just do it one more time because I like it. You know, I like to play two sometimes. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And again, in the cat, that will be again, just from there, in. On there, depending on how you do it. Is everyone okay to give that a shot? Okay?